Michael Burke, and we're live. It's Tint Wisdom number 70. Thanks for joining.
70.
Number 70.
What? It's taken 70 times for you to call me and want to be on the show? What's going on, man?
Well, some of them were solo, but I've said it on videos before. I am kind of an introvert, so even just like reaching out to people is somewhat of a challenge. But this gives me an opportunity to chat with you, whereas in person, I might shyly walk by and just recognize you from afar. So,
I get it. Unfortunately, I'm one of those loud, larger than life guys. I walk in the room and it's like, holy shit, there's Mike Burke.
well, I'm sure that is a piece of your success or contributes to it.
Well, with the people that really take the time to get to know me, they understand I got a heart of gold and will do anything in the world for you. Once you are in my circle, it's like a bond you can't get out. I've got your back.
That's awesome. And I imagine that is why you've quickly grown to twenty locations.
Yes, we're currently at 20. I have about three or four more about to launch in probably the next 30 days. I've got some very, very exciting news coming in probably about 2 weeks. I don't want to announce it, but we just partnered with one of the largest paint protection companies in the country that is now going to house the Sunstoppers brand for their window tinting portion.
Say so they're going to house the Sunstopper
So
brand. Explain a little
So,
more.
so basically, what's going to happen is I'm taking one of the largest paint protection companies
Mm-hmm.
that's specifically and predominantly paint protection.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're world renowned. They're one of the biggest in the country.
Mm-hmm.
They want to get into doing window tinting, okay? But their brand is now a paint protection branded company.
Got it.
So if you're selling Lexus and then all of a sudden you want to sell Hummers, you now want to partner with someone who knows the SUV truck market.
Got it.
Okay. So what's happening is now I'm providing training. I'm providing knowledge of 27, 30 years of knowledge. How I'm doing it is we're more imagine joining Costco or Sam's Club and you pay a monthly membership for this group for access to what we do and how we do it. We now have one marketing company. We now have one website. We now have one lead generation source. Everyone in the industry is paying someone to do SEO, Facebook, Instagram. So they're all paying someone to do something for them.
Right.
Attorneys, lawyers, accounting, whatever you need in your business, you are paying someone outside of your business to do it. We are now that source.
Got it. Got it. That makes sense. So you're combining resources
Combining
to
resources.
essentially join or
Absolutely.
right.
All right. So imagine if you sold a building down in where you at in Florida.
I'm in Palm Springs, California.
Okay. Imagine you sell a building, 60 floors. They need it done in 2 weeks. How do you do it? You
Right.
call Sunstoppers.
Got it. Got it.
You outsource
Right.
it. You make money. You now have a network of tenners. We have 26 window tenners.
Right.
We have a Guinness World Record of tinting 170 cars in one day. We
So
can pull our resources. That's the difference.
right. So okay. So Sunstopper's obviously a franchise,
No,
not a franchise. I thought it was referred to, but what I was going to say was it's very different than anything I've thought about as a franchise because it's more of a group. Is that
Eric,
right?
we're a fraternity of brothers working together to all prosper together.
Sure.
Okay. It's a network of people working together off of one brand. Okay. How I like to look at it is if you're Eric's coffee shop and you sell coffee for 10 years,
Mhm.
Starbucks comes to town and says, you know what, Eric, I want to make you the owner. I'm going to increase your business 40% and I'm going to reduce your cost by 30%.
Mhm.
All you have to do is change your name.
Mhm.
Would you do it?
If
Would you
Starbucks
name your,
and I was Eric's
I'm
coffee
just,
shop, most likely.
yeah, most likely, right?
Depending on, yeah, I mean, of course, depending on the specifics, but in this case, Starbucks versus Eric's coffee shop, it's hands down for sure.
Well, that's just an
No question.
analogy I'm
I know.
using. It's in this
I get what you're
industry.
saying.
I'm trying to put smart people together with smart people. You're independent guys that want to be artists. and be the guys that want to, I'm the best tinter in the world.
Mhm.
You know what I tell the guys that have been tinting for 10, 15 years and they want to work with me? I'll buy you the biggest trophy in the world and put it right on the front counter and tell every single customer, you're the world's greatest window tinter.
Mhm.
Now go back in the back and tint cars and make money.
Right. So, kind of starting with something you just went over. First things first, you change your name. Like, I want to go through almost some of the process of converting, because it seems like, tell me if I'm wrong, but it seems like most, if not all, of your locations were established tin companies that then joined. They're not like startup tin companies.
Well, in Charlotte, I started off in Charlotte where I own the stores and I started them. So I personally own all of this area.
Hmm.
So there's no partners and things like that as far as the Sun Stoppers in Charlotte. I do have some partners on the flat glass side of the business. So on the residential commercial side is where all this started. Years ago, I was tinting in the shop by myself, and people were kept calling me wanting their house tinted and their buildings tinted, and I couldn't get out and leave the shop to go do estimates. I was at the mercy of me. I was the only guy that could do it. So I was like, you know what? I need to find someone that I can teach how to tint houses and make them a partner on that side of the business. And now look at that as new business. Now I'm looking at that as new revenue.
Hmm.
I put that person in charge. I teach them, I coach, and then we also share in the branding and the marketing.
Got it.
And then we go grow that side of the business. Now I started realizing there's a lot of really good window tinters out there that are great window tinters. There's some really, really good ones,
Sure.
but they don't know how to really run the business properly. I'm
Which
not
is
saying they don't know how
right.
to run the business. They just don't know how to do it properly.
Sure.
Okay. And I just like to be a coach. I just want to come in and be a coach. I want to mentor. I want to help. My background is I have 2 degrees from college. One's in marketing and one's in accounting. And I really love marketing. Marketing is something I'm passionate about.
Hmm.
I love designing. I love putting the brand on just about everything. But it basically, to get back to your point, is Sunstopper started as me tinting windows.
Hmm.
And then I acquired window tinters, and I started quickly realizing that the other tent shops that were tent shop owners have now closed their tent shops, and now we're partnering with me.
Hmm.
Basically, when I say partners, I mean now joining forces with Sunstoppers, because they're saying to me, Mike, I'm making more money with you than I ever did on my own.
Right.
And now I get to go home to my family at 5 o'clock, and I'm making $80 to $100,000 a year with less headaches. I now am teaching my tinters, my good tinters have been with me for a very long time. I'm teaching them how to have apprentices under them
Hmm.
to where they now have profit sharing on them. So what happens is you bring somebody in, they're always thinking you're going to teach somebody to take your job. Well, that's what I want. I want everybody that comes in to take their job, but I want that person who taught that tinter how to get paid always get paid off that person's money. So as soon as that guy leaves and goes into another store, he's now making money off another store, now making money off another store. So if you keep teaching and you keep growing and helping grow the brand, and I've learned this through a couple of friends of mine that do multi-level marketing companies. That
Hmm.
you come
Right.
in, you buy this, and this guy. I'm not a multi-level marketing company, but I'm using the similar strategies
Right.
that they bring in place, because tenders want to be able to be owners. They want to be owners. They want to have residual income. They want to be able to make money without having to. I mean, my back hurts, my legs hurt, my knees hurt, my hands hurt. I mean, I tinted 11 cars today. We were put under the ringer. I mean, getting in the back seat of cars is hard on your body. It really is. If you don't
Yeah.
have a good chiropractor or massage therapist and you've been tenting for 20 years, your body's pretty much taking a beating.
Right. And most people are attending probably 6 days a week, and that last day is probably
Yeah,
not going to a massage. It's just
exactly.
riding it out as much as
Yeah,
possible.
exactly. But no, I'm just trying to put a philosophy of brotherhood. I was in a fraternity in college.
Mm.
I played sports all my life, and I had some really good mentors and some really good coaches. And I'm taking what I've learned also in martial arts. I've been doing martial arts since I was very young. And I've taken the philosophy of joining forces. There's strength and working together.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, when you wake up in the morning, you want to go make money. You want to go, you want to get up, you want to have a purpose. You want to go and basically make money and provide for your family, and you want to see growth in your income. You don't want to be stagnant. You don't want to see your income go down. When people join forces with Sunstoppers, they're now saving money and have more opportunities.
Right.
And it's really like joining, like I said, a Costco. You're paying a monthly membership. But see, the thing is, you no longer have to worry about your marketing, your SEO.
Right.
We're a lead generation company. I want to be Google to the window tinting industry. So when you join forces, just the other day, I had a guy join in Kernersville, North Carolina. And within a week and a half, we're already producing 2 leads a day off our website for him.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have that before.
Right.
He was a lone guy tinting windows by himself in a little stereo shop. Now we have a place off to the sides, all lettered up sun stoppers. He looks like a professional brand. He now has the display boards from Expel. He now has our invoices. He now has our Square CRM system that now holds the data of all the customers that he's doing business with. It sends them text messages. It sends them emails.
Right.
Just trying to get to a streamline the industry a little bit.
Sure. And everything you just mentioned, it shouldn't be underestimated to do it yourself, because it really is a big task. If you look what goes into setting up a proper tint shop, even just all the display and marketing material that should be on the inside, then you have the outside, then you have your vehicle, you have your online presence, you have all these things. And if you're trying to learn them yourself, that takes a significant amount of time, and you may never really master it. And is that really, your strength to begin with, So it makes a lot of sense. Dean Mitchell put a comment or dropped a comment here. He said, I've been to every single Sunstoppers in North Carolina and beyond. I can tell you it's got to be the best atmosphere I've witnessed in the business. So, I mean, everything you said makes me imagine why it's the best atmosphere. Because, I mean, people sounds like, it's somewhere where you feel like you're working with a purpose and you're working in a team environment and so on. But I'd love for you to expand kind of more that goes like what goes into that atmosphere, because that can be a challenge. There's no shortage of tinters that will tell you, I can't find a good people. They all come in late. They're all lazy. They're all so on. So,
When I travel with my apron. I walk in, I'm help. I just walk in as help. I walk in, I start shrinking windows. I start helping customers. I go around to the stores, and I'm basically, years ago, there was a guy named Josh Reeves. He tints down in Florida. He was a guy that ran him and Matt Bobin. He tints in Charleston. They're still good friends of mine. And we used to call it the bat signal. And when they would text me the bat signal, it means that they're behind. They need me to come in like Superman. And I would double cut all the windows while they were running the plotter. And I'm over there just like a hurricane of tint flying everywhere. And I come in, I get them caught up, and I swoop out of there and leave. So if anyone needs me, they just send me the bat signal on a text, and I'm on my way. And Batman's on his way, fireman, Superman, whatever you want to say. I'm just there to help. And the other thing is we've got Garrett down in Easley, South Carolina. He's having some issues with some employees coming and going. We're using some strategies and doing some things to work together to now get him some tinters. We have 2 really good tinters that just started that are coming in, helping him. He's doing 20 cars a day. He's able to talk to someone. He's able to have a resource at the end of the day at 7:00. That's now one of his brothers. Now I'm a brother. Now he can call me, ask me questions, and we can brainstorm and use each other as a think tank. Mm-hmm. And we can bounce ideas off each other. When you're alone and you're tinting alone, you're tinting by yourself, you're making decisions by yourself. You don't have anyone who has 20, 30 years of experience that you respect to bounce ideas off of. Sometimes I bounce ideas off of people that aren't in the window tinting industry. I've got guys that own car dealerships, that own logistics companies, that are very smart people, that when I have questions about things that I'm doing, I bounce ideas off of other smart people that I rely on. Well, not every window tinter has that circle. And that's what I want to do, is build a resource where we all can bounce ideas off each other.
Have you ever kind of thought or been surprised that doesn't, I feel at least, it doesn't exist within any manufacturer well executed, to where, I guess in my mind, all those things that you're doing, you kind of feel like, well, if you're part of a manufacturer, like you're selling their film, that they're going to they want your shop to look a certain way. They're going to set it up. They're going to get those leads in for it. They're going to do as many things as possible for you so you can buy their film and install their film. They handle the rest.
You got to also understand this. I've been in the industry since 1988. Okay. I tinted my very first car in 1988. I wasn't any good at it until about 94, when you could actually kind of two-piece the back windows on the rear defogger and kind of seam them a little bit. But the heat gun used to be the sun. You used to park the back window in the car and come out and do relief cuts and stuff. I mean, I'm old. I'm a dinosaur to window tinting. I'm still learning from these young guys that are working with me, peeling seals, peeling gaskets, and bottom loading. I'm always learning new tricks. I'm not ever going to tell anybody that I'm the best, because the best doesn't exist. The best is the guy that got a lot of customers in and out, made a lot of money, and made a lot of customers happy. That's the best.
Yeah.
The best is making customers happy.
Yeah.
Okay. We have competitions at Expel. We have the IWFA 10 off. Those aren't real world environments. I've always said, I was a judge last year. I don't know if you know that, but I was a judge at the IWFA 10 off.
Mm-hmm.
And I judged, the first round was almost awful. Every car was like, woo, they were bad. Then the second round was like, wow, these guys, okay, this is good. You could tell the nerves.
The nerves, right? That's exactly what it is.
You could tell the nerves, right? So, and then the third round was even like, wow, it got even better. And then we added, I tried to do the windshield. We all voted to try to add a windshield, and we did a visor, and we added a few little twists and turns to the 10 off, which I learned a lot actually being a judge, about how to judge, how, the process of what goes through on the tint competitions. In a great environment, you give everybody an hour and you give them a car and say, tint as many windows as you can tint, the best you can. And then we come and judge you, and it's, move on after that. But the window tinting industry is evolving, and the manufacturers, getting back to your question, there's a lot of manufacturers out there that just want to make film and sell film.
Sure.
And they don't think they need to do anything else but that. They just make film and they sell it, at a discount rate. And here you go. Here's a brochure, and here's the product we're selling. And I really, years ago, back when I first started, I was with Johnson. Mm-hmm. Then I did a little bit of Solar Guard and Matico. And then I turned around and went to Suntech when it first kind of came out. It was a great company, great film. Mm-hmm. It was one of the best that came around. And I realized after being with them for 10, 11 years, and they were a great company. They didn't do anything wrong. It's just I realized that I wanted to be more in a fraternity. I almost wanted a smaller niche group to give me more brand awareness in my area. Because what bothered me was, if you have a building with a banner on it, it didn't matter what the building looked like. It didn't matter where it was. It didn't matter if they were 2 miles down the street. They were selling their manufactured film to just about anyone who wanted it.
Got it.
And so I got a little bit upset at that, and I tried to talk to my reps and say, hey, how do we differentiate this? This guy's selling, Standard Pro or Carbon or whatever for $100, and I'm trying to get 150. And the guy's like, well, they're carrying the same product. So it was like I needed to go and completely rethink my model and go totally left field and start over with a new brand, a new identification that no one in Charlotte carried. Nobody. There wasn't a single dealer for Expel in Charlotte. So that was mainly the turning point to me, as I realized that Expel was a marketing company. They made good paint protection, they made good DAP, they made good systems, but ultimately they had good branding.
Right.
When you look at their display boards, you look at their image, you look at everything, it was like I was buying a Ferrari.
Yep.
Okay. And that's what the turning point with me was. It had nothing to do with me being upset or mad at the manufacturer, because they were doing everything good. We were happy, but it wasn't great. And when I partnered with Expel, we exploded. My growth was over 50%. It was just because we branded one brand with our brand. And at the end of the day, every single customer that came in the door was a Sunstoppers customer. They really didn't care what film we were putting on the car until we educated them on the film. If I told the guy I was buying film in China and I thought it was the greatest thing in the world, but I put my name on it, they're going to be like, oh, that sounds good to me, man.
Right.
But the thing is, what I love about Expel when we partnered with them is their dealer conference. It allowed me to network with other people that were what I consider your A-plus tint companies. Mm-hmm. The companies that had multiple employees, had good owners, ran a professionally good imaged company. Okay. Company vans, company logos, things
Mhm.
like that. And it allowed me to have round table discussions with people who were very intelligent that I could now learn from.
Mhm.
And that's now what I've processed and realized is that everyone in this industry needs little round table discussions
Mhm.
to be able to learn from each other. Okay. And
Yep.
that's what I'm trying to do with Sunstoppers is I'm trying to create little small round table organization of people joining a fraternity of people that we all have each other's back. It's not about the money. It's not about the money. People are always like, "Oh, Sunset." Listen, bro, I can tint windows in my one store, pay all my bills for the rest of my life, and never have to worry. It's not about the money. It's about the relationship. It's about the growth. Where's the Chick-fil-A of window tinting?
No, there was never one, and like that's this industry. It's very fragmented. It's usually one to two locations, and that like makes me feel like there's so much opportunity in it, and the way you've gone about it, I think, is magic because everything you just said about like the dealer conferences, like for sure, like the best parts of those conferences are, like I mentioned, like Eastman will do a round table breakfast at the end, or like the table you're having dinner with, or the people you're sitting through the conference with, that table, and some of the back and forth chat, but like that stuff happens for a few hours every year, and it's the most valuable thing. Like
Yeah.
it's just like they can be game changing. So like the fact that you've brought that together in a way that is very different and clearly not a franchise, which I was under the wrong assumption on that. I love it. I think it's
I don't ever want to be a franchise
mm-hmm.
because the thing is, I have to pay my guy to do SEO. I have to pay my guy to do Google. I have to pay my website guy, and I have to pay for t-shirts, business cards, and growth of the business. Okay. The money that comes in for the membership does not go into my personal pocket. It goes back into the regrowth of the brand
Sure.
and regrowth of helping for lead generation. And I put the money back into spending it in their area
Right.
to help them grow.
Right. Well, that's, I imagine, why the locations are growing so well. You must have a lot of happy dealers for so many other
We're
dealers to be jumping.
well, the thing is, I want people to want to be part of Sunstoppers. If I've got to solicit to you, I don't want you.
Sure.
You got to solicit to me.
So, is there a that sort of, I think that sort of mentality for sure is the right one. You want to do a good enough job to where people are coming to you. You don't want to focus on being a
Yeah.
good salesman because you might be doing a really shitty job at everything else. You're a strong salesman. That's not going to work. You do it the other way, it works for sure because you just keep improving and people keep coming. I'm curious. Lost where I was going with that, but I have another question for you. Um, you had a business that you grew to 6 locations and sold.
Lightning
And
Mike's.
say again?
I had a company when I first started called Lightning Mike's Window Tinting.
Sure.
You can't build a brand around your own personal name.
Right. I mean, right. Yeah, for essentially, I mean, there are some brands with names, but I agree with you completely. It's
I'm just
not.
saying,
It's a little
everybody worked for Mike. When I came back as Sunstoppers, to
right.
make long story short, Lightning Mike's, I learned a lot. I was more the Fast and the
And
Furious.
okay,
I learned from all the mistakes that I made
that's
building
exactly
the
where I was
brand.
going. I wondered when you're able to sell off a business and then start fresh, you're able to take all the experience that was good
Yes,
and the bad, and then start fresh, and that's
I
great.
learned.
I'm curious some of the things that were the biggest lessons that you brought forward into Sunstoppers from Lightning Mike's.
Don't ever make it about yourself. It's always about the team. Give the gratitude to the tenors. You can't take the gratitude. So, what I mean is, you ever played sports?
Yeah,
Did you ever have a coach come over to you and pat you on the butt or pat you on the back? Good job after something you did.
yeah,
Felt good, didn't it?
sure.
Okay. What if the quarterback was the only one on the team that ever got that pat on the back, but everybody else on the team didn't get anything?
Terrible. It's not going to be good for the team for sure. Build
So when a
resentment towards the
what
quarterback, probably.
exactly. So when a window tinter tints the car, you need to make a point to make sure the customer knows that guy tinted it, that he took pride in tinting it, and I need to introduce that customer to give us a Google review and thank my tinter, not me. It's never about Mike Burke. It's about my tenors getting the glory
The team.
and getting the thank you. When we added Square years ago, we added the tip button.
Yep.
Some of my stores are getting $500 a week in tips.
I believe it.
Tips.
I
They're
believe
getting
it.
tips.
People will leave big tips. First of all, you have to give them the option to. So on Square is the best way, like perfect way, because it's going to ask them if they want a tip. So at least you're prompting it. If you don't ask them, you're going to get less for sure.
When you got somebody
And
at the front counter and then
mm-hmm,
they go, they flip the computer around
mm-hmm,
and they met the tenor in the back and they go, man, the
yep,
tenor goes, man, I took care of your car and we did this and this and
yep,
walk around the car. I learned that because in the Lightning Mike days, it was all about Mike.
mm-hmm.
So it's
And
not about Mike.
And if you're wondering, like if you're not a person who's received big tips, I can tell you with certainty that people will leave a 20% tip on a $500 tint job, and you'll say, "Was that a mistake?" But no, that's what they want to do. They're happy and they want to give you the money. I remember the question that I had for you, where I was going a minute ago. So with so many, obviously, like you're not out there soliciting Sunstop businesses. People are coming to you, so it's growing quickly. So it must be doing really good. What like what area wise, location wise, like obviously there's a benefit to having a lot of Sunstoppers in a location. Like there's a benefit to that because you have staffing and more customer awareness and so on. And same time, some people may not want to be on top of another location. What's your take on it? How do you deal with locations and proximity from another?
I have stores in Charlotte 8 miles apart. Some are 10 miles apart. The way I look at it is you have to location. I mean, when you have Chick-fil-A, Wendy's, all in a little area
Next to
and
each
you
other.
also, you have hotels. Okay.
Sure.
When you go to a hotel, there are 20 hotels next to each other.
Yep. Car dealers, furniture stores. Yeah.
I always said if another tent shop is a mile away and there's a stereo shop a mile away and there's a detail shop a mile away, when they're all 2 or 3, 5 miles from each other, we're all pulling the resources of that customer base to that area. And it's going to come down to, do you want to stay at the Days Inn, the Holiday Inn, or the Ritz-Carlton?
Sure.
If your store looks better and the salespeople are more presentable and you're more expensive, well, you have that option to go to a nice fancy restaurant. You have that nice option to go stay in a nice fancy hotel. And you have that option to stay at a cheaper hotel.
Right.
So you have an option.
Right.
So I think when you have locations, I was actually talking about this the other day about having a discount store and then have, like, Tommy Hilfiger has an outlet.
Right.
It's called an outlet mall. An outlet, okay? It's scuffed, shirts or, whatever.
Some leftovers.
Then you've got your boutiques.
Sure.
You've got some in the mall. You're paying 20 to 30% more in the mall than you are in the discount center.
Right.
So I feel like when you're going to have rookie tenors, 3 years or less tenors, you maybe open a store as a discount store 8 miles away.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the store that's $160. Then you got the boutique that's $250.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's presentation. I think that if you can create a demand and customers are willing to come for you,
sure, it's
not about how far you are apart. It's about how you distinguish yourself apart.
Sure. Yeah, I agree with that 1,000%. Like you said, you're giving people options, and in the case that you just brought up, I think it's a great idea. Those are two different markets.
Hold on 1 second. I gotta get a charger. Hey, Colby.
Do it.
Can you bring me my charger, please? My phone's about to die. It's on the counter down there. Thank you. Sorry about that. I just realized my phone was about 10%. I didn't want it to die on you.
So
my son's gonna get me the charger.
Those are two different markets. A market of somebody who wants to pay $160 and somebody who maybe wants to spend $400, $500, $350, whatever it is. So you hit both
and you can be the
markets
same brand, okay? And how I used to tell people this is my guys used to be like, "Oh man, I'm competing against the guy down the road," and I go, "Well, let me ask you this: you've got an oceanfront hotel room, maybe it's called X Hotel, right? Mm-hmm. The same hotel chain, like let's just say Days Inn, for example." Mm-hmm. You've got a Days Inn on the ocean front. Well, he's $300 a night. He's ocean front, watch the ocean, got a big whirlpool and everything. But you go 2 rows back, a mile away, mm-hmm. the same hotel, same Days Inn, same kind of thing, but he's 2 or 3 rows back from the beach. He's half the price. Right. I think in this industry, you need to be able to give people options.
Yep.
And you're not going to get every single person that walks in the door wanting to spend $250, $300 for a ceramic coating job. But there's money to be made by giving people options.
Right, and there's efficiency to be had by separating it like you are, because you want to get them all, but you can't necessarily get them all in the same place, because then it
Right.
would not be as efficient as it could be.
Well, what we're doing is, and I'm not discrediting Tint World. They've done a phenomenal job growing as a franchise. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be a franchise. I don't want a bunch of money up front. I don't need somebody to write me a 30, 40, $50,000 check for a name and a brand and then give them training and then sell rims, tires, stereos, intakes, exhaust, ceramic coating, detailing. How many employees are you going to need to run that business? Okay.
Right.
What we're doing is a small boutique. We do paint protection. We do ceramic coatings, and we do window tinting. But mainly 80% of our business is window tinting. And what I used to tell people in marketing, there's 3 rules in marketing. I don't know if you know those rules, but I'm going to educate you on what I think those rules are. Okay. The 3 rules of our advertising are who you are, what you do, and how to get a hold of you. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Who you are.
Yep.
So when your logo
Says who you
actually
are.
says who
Right.
you are, because Sun Stoppers says what we do.
Mm-hmm.
You've killed that out of immediately. It resonates with the customer.
Right. And you have also on your logo, you have, or I mean, assuming that's entirety of your logo, on your shirt, you also have how to contact you.
www.com.
Yep.
Absolutely. So, and the thing is, the Sunstoppers logo is a registered trademark with the federal government.
Mm-hmm.
So this logo is actually federally registered mark. So it's not just a TM, it's an R, like Coca-Cola. Whereas the R, we're actually paid a lot of money years ago when we started to protect this brand and logo.
So I imagine
and that's important.
Yeah, it's super important, obviously, to establish it, because all you're building and obviously the ways that people can try to take advantage of that, manipulate it, and so on. So it's obviously well protected. I imagine that goes a really long way when customers, because there's a certain percentage of customers who are going to go to your website and try to see how many locations you have, or maybe they're on Yelp and they start to see Sunstoppers, this location, Sunstoppers, that location, and knowing that you have 20 locations listed on your website, versus 1 or 2, it has to be a mental game changer for a lot of people that are looking for quality.
And it works in a double-edged sword. Okay. Window tinting wise, because we're talking about window tinting and that's what you do. And that's what we're talking about tonight, is mainly window tinting.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to also look at the other side of it, is paint protection.
Mm-hmm.
We also do paint protection. Okay. And we have about 3 or 4 guys in the company that are very good at doing paint protection. But a lot of my window tinters do not want to do paint protection. They're turn and burn. They want to do the paint protection. A lot of them are cross trained. A lot of them can do paint protection. A lot of them can do tinting. But the tinters that started out tinting usually stay with tinting. The paint protection guys, you usually want to stay with paint protection. And you get this one shop here, this one shop there. Well, he's by himself. He lives off Instagram and Facebook, and he does, videos on every car he does. And he is an artist, but he's not an artist to make money. He's just an artist.
Mm-hmm.
There has to become an efficiency of making money, doing quality work, and getting the customer out the door. And my job as Sunstoppers is to teach the efficiency part of it. There's a lot of guys out there that are artists, and I respect them, because deep down, when I first started doing this, I'm an artist. I really love being an artist. I love doing quality work. I love shaving edges. I love making love to a car. I do.
Mm-hmm.
But making love to a car doesn't make you money.
Right.
You have to find a fine line of where you need to be. And, most of the stores that we have 4.8, 4.9, 5.0, 5 stars. We have 250 Google reviews at some of the stores. And we were at a dealer conference, and Josh Popnick, Josh Popnick from Blackout, great guy, awesome guy, really smart, very innovative, doing a great job. And he and I were having a conversation about Google reviews, because he had gotten a bad review, or somebody was about to give him a bad review or something at the table, and we were talking. And he goes, I've got all 5-star reviews. I have 0 bad reviews.
Mhm.
And I looked at him and I gave him a different perspective. And I said, well, that means you're fake. I said, Josh, that means you're fake. And he goes, what do you mean? And he was taken back by that comment. And I said, no one's perfect. There's always going to be someone that's going to give you some type of input as a bad review. And I replayed this in my head and I kind of said to him, I welcome bad reviews. I welcome them. And I actually like getting a bad review, because what it does is the very first thing when I get a bad review is I thank the customer for bringing something that we were not perfect on to our attention on how to become better.
So I get what you're saying. I completely get what you're saying, and theoretically, like in theory, that sounds great. And it's I bet you sleep well at night because you're not afraid of the bad reviews. Because I know bad reviews can be haunting for a lot of people. But I
Yeah.
think the issue is not when a bad review comes in that points out places you fell short. Those are easier to swallow. It's the ones that you feel are unjustified. I think those are the
Well,
ones where people like maybe sometimes
if
people do it to leverage discounts and shit like that. Like that's where it becomes a little hard to
Well,
swallow.
here's the thing. I'm an educated buyer at most things that I buy. And when I go look at Google reviews and I see love these guys, awesome, 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 and then I see not so awesome.
Mhm.
And I read the not so awesome, okay? And I read it. And I put myself in the perspective of who wrote that review.
Sure.
Why did they write that review? Why
Sure.
did they take the time to write that review?
Yep.
And more importantly, how did that company respond to
Hmm.
the review? Okay. I
Yep.
immediately get alerts of any bad reviews that come on my phone from email, and I respond to them immediately. I give them my personal cell phone number, and I actually tell them, thank you for bringing this to our attention. But do you know where most of our Google bad reviews have come from in the last 10 years? You know what the ones they mainly are? People who've never done work with us. They've never actually
Right.
got work done.
That's tough
They
to
actually
swallow.
they actually were
Right.
bitching and complaining that they had an appointment at 2 o'clock and they couldn't pull the car in until 2:30 or 2:45.
Hmm.
Okay. And I have to remind customers, when I make a doctor's appointment, and I go to the doctor, and the doctor says, I need you here at 11 o'clock. It's usually 11:48 before the doctor ever sees me.
Yep.
Okay. So what happens is people get impatient and they don't get their way. And they think the easiest way to go bitch and complain is to go give us a bad review.
Sure.
Well, I'm not going to give a steakhouse a bad review on their steak unless I got a chance to eat the steak.
Right.
I'm going to go, oh, I didn't like the way the server or whatever. But most of the bad reviews that we've ever gotten at Sunstoppers are usually people who've never even got the chance to taste our steak. They
Mhm.
were not happy with the way the guy talked to them on the phone. They were not getting their way. We were telling them you got to wait. We were telling them it could be a little while before we do your car. Or when they come in, they have old glue or old tint on their car, and we have to extra charge them for that. And then they turn around and complain that they got on the phone, didn't tell me they were going to charge me more. Well, you didn't tell us you had old glue and old tint on your car.
Hmm.
So now it's going to be an upcharge. So there's a lot of things that I like to educate people on where you don't need to get so bent out of shape about one or two bad reviews. It actually allows you to rebuttal as a business owner and give a very good explanation. And so what I do is I thank the customer. Please, I thank them. I say, thank you very much for taking your time out of your busy schedule to give me input on how to make my company better.
Hmm.
Because that's what I'm doing. I'm taking their
Hmm.
input and I'm calling my staff and I'm saying, hey, this guy was bitching and complaining.
Yep.
And then my guys will tell me, hey, man, the guy called. He had a bad attitude, blah, blah, blah. So I'm just telling all the guys out there, if you're going to get a bad review, respond immediately to the bad review. Don't let it just sit blank.
And respond in the way that you just explained. Because if you
Politically,
respond
yes.
attacking the person, if you respond like a lot of times like the response, it's not a bad response, but the response will be like, "This person never came in. We have no record of you." Blah blah. That doesn't necessarily feel like you were trying to be helpful. Like maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong, but I don't know. But you said it best when you said put your like people read them. You put themselves in the perspective of the person who left the review and back and forth. And if somebody's going to say, "Oh, you never came in," well, what happens if I leave a bad review for them? Like I'm unhappy. are you just going to say that about me? But the way you're putting your cell phone number out, like that says it all. I'm here to help. Let me help,
I'm the owner.
please.
I'm here to help. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, when you're talking to new tent, or you're talking to other business owners
Yeah.
like Josh, I respect him. He runs a great business. And then when I gave him that perspective, he
Mm.
now absorbed it and realizes that his anxiety level went down a little bit where he's like, maybe
Right.
you're right. You know,
Right, because it's a big deal to a lot of people when you get that first bad review. You don't
it
know where like
is.
the world's going to crash down. Nobody's going to come to you anymore, and like,
No,
you
don't get
know,
upset.
yeah,
If
that's
you've
great
ever been in a
advice.
restaurant business, now I learned this, and believe me, I wasn't like this years ago. I'll be honest. It comes with age. I'll be honest. It
Comes
does.
with,
It
well,
comes
it
with
comes with
age.
experience because
Comes with
you're
experience.
transferring it to somebody else. They could be much younger than you, and that's the
Yes.
benefit of the whole thing.
Yes. And if you're going to have an emotional decision, emotional reaction, give yourself 24 hours to reset
Hmm.
and have a different perspective. Because in the morning, you
Hmm.
may actually be thinking more clearly.
For sure, for
You
sure.
know what I mean?
Yep.
But no, I learned this actually by talking to a restaurant manager. He was a GM of a really high end fancy restaurant. I can't remember if it was Morton's or Ruth Chris, or it was one of the real nice ones. Okay. And he says he allocates 3%, 3 to 5% in return steaks, return meals. So he's already put in an allocation of returns. And I said, why do you do that? And he goes, if we do not get a few steaks back or something that was not cooked properly, we're not cooking enough meals.
That's it. That's it. If you don't have a bad review yet, you're not tending enough cars or homes or businesses because that's what it comes down to. You're not doing enough yet. That's exactly spot on.
Eric, well said, well said. That's exactly my point.
Yeah.
And so these are types of things that I'm trying to do is really get this group together of Sunstoppers and collaborate and brainstorm and think about how we can make the company, make the brand better, and also make us all better. And if you're spending $2,000 a month in advertising in Florida, but I could say, and you're paying X amount for window film, and I could say I'm going to save you $80 to $100 a roll. Right now, I could save you $80 to $100 a roll by joining our network.
Hmm.
I'm going to do your website, your leads, your generation. I'm going to do everything, and I'm going to cut your advertising budget in half. And I'm going to turn around and give you twice the leads. Where's
Who
the
wouldn't?
downside?
No, I don't. There's not a downside. What you're saying, properly executed, which it sounds like it is a win. Period. Like
It's a win.
there's not a double like thought to it. As long as things are being done right and the right team is in charge, then
Yeah.
that's it.
Well, I look at it like this, and I was telling a guy the other day, we were having a conversation in the shop, and we were talking about Michael Jordan. He just did like the legend on
Yeah,
TV. Michael Jordan was one of the best athletes to ever play basketball, correct?
for sure.
Did he have a coach?
Sure, absolutely.
He had a coach.
Very important part.
He didn't coach he didn't coach the team, right? He
No,
didn't coach the game. He had someone that analyzed everything
right,
and gave the plays and coached him and made him better with
right.
his team,
And Phil
correct?
Jackson was a great coach. He didn't play basketball during that team. He wasn't on the Bulls then. You know.
So the way I look at it is I'm trying to take 27 years of knowledge, my college education and the years of doing this and all the failures and all the successes and what I've learned from everyone that I've surrounded myself with. I'm trying to become a really good coach.
Makes sense, and I think it's there's definitely a void in the industry for that sort of coaching, and you can't
And
downplay the value.
And Eric, I'm not even going to say you have to join Sunstoppers. You don't. My phone is always available. I will help any shop, anywhere in any country for free. I just love this industry. I love what it's done for me and my family. And I really respect everyone that's in it. And when I first started Tint Windows, I had a pocket full of cash. And everybody thought I was a drug dealer.
Right.
And all my friends that work for Cisco Systems, network engineers, all of my friends that I grew up with, that went to college with, lost respect for me because they said I tinted windows for a living. And I felt beneath them. I wasn't welcome on the golf
Sure.
course.
Hmm.
I wasn't welcome to play poker. I wasn't welcome in their little circle of bankers.
Hmm.
Okay. But I made more money than them.
Hmm.
But I wasn't respected because of the people they thought I tinted windows for. They thought everybody that got their windows tinted 20, 30 years ago was a drug dealer. Okay. The industry's evolved and has changed, but I'm just saying back when I first started as a tent company, my image was that I was a drug dealer, and it hurt my feelings. It really hurt my feelings, but it fueled me, and it fueled me to become successful and run a professional business. When people come in my stores, professional, nice shops, nice waiting rooms, nice environment, epoxy floors, drop ceiling, air conditioned, glass walls. Every store has 2 plotters, one for PPF, one for tent.
Mm-hmm.
And I pay my guys very, very, very well. I pay them so good that they would never want to go open up a shop on their own
Right.
because of how hard it would be to make the same income with it. I looked at it like this. I'm a tinner, and I can do PPF, I can do flat glass, I can sell. If I was to work for me, how would I want to work for me?
Right. Right.
I have to take
to put it in
myself
that
into the third
perspective.
person.
For
I
sure.
have to.
It's selfish
Yes.
not to. It's selfish not to, because, you know, that other person that's coming to that job, like, that's a human, that they have a family, they have goals, they have the whole thing. So to not consider like what's going to be attractive to them is selfish. You can't make it about yourself.
And you know, I had one of my group guys. I'm not going to mention any names, but he was saying, "Hey, I got one of my guys. He wants to leave and go open up his own store. What do I do?" I said, "You back him." I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "What do you mean?" I go, "You go open up a second location and put him in charge. And if he can put some money on the table and you can put some money on the table, help
Mm-hmm.
him.
Yep.
Help him. Don't look at it as competition. Look at it as a resource that's fueled, that you now need to put fuel on that resource."
Right. Right. Because when somebody wants to
Don't limit them.
spread their wings, if you're the
Don't
one
limit
that
them.
tries not to let them, like, you're gone. Like, that's not going to work. Like, that's not a strategy. I
Then
mean,
there's
yours is.
resentment.
Yeah.
Then there's resentment. Then there's a fight. Then there's a rivalry. Then there's a war.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you might as well be on the same side. Work together.
There's strength.
Sure.
I agree.
So, quick question. Billy made a comment. He said the right, like, it was what we were just speaking about a little earlier. He said the right market to not all markets fit all types of business platforms. Is there any market that you've come across? I can't think of how a market and Billy, you can expand on that too in the comments. I can't think about a market that wouldn't benefit from this sort of situation. Is there something I'm missing?
What I'm basically going to say is Chris Hardy from Expel gave me this analogy, and I'm going to replay it, and I'm going to give him credit for it. We used to say when Expel came with us, I was having a hard time selling XR Plus, the real high-end film,
Mm-hmm.
and I was having a hard time selling ceramic tint because our model was basically $200, like years and years and years, $200. And I said, "How am I going to get $350, $500 for a tent job?" I said, "Man, I'm not going to be able to do it." And I'm sitting here giving him backlash, right? I said, "Man, Charlotte," and I basically am saying, "Oh, in Charlotte, we can't get that kind of money here because we're in a different market."
Right. You hear that so much from
Well,
people.
I'm going to tell you his answer, and I want you to remember this because it's a truthful, great response. Now, let me ask you a question. Is there a Mercedes dealership in your area?
Of course.
There is, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Is there a Mercedes dealership in California? Is there a
Tons.
Mercedes dealership in Texas?
Tons.
Is there one in New York?
Of course.
Do
Everywhere.
you know who makes the price on the window sticker for the Mercedes? Mercedes.
Right. Of course.
Okay. So the same Mercedes, same S-Class Mercedes, is the same price in California as it is in Florida.
Sure.
Correct?
Sure. If you left it up to the dealer, they would probably be saying the same thing, right? Like, there's this area, nobody's buying a Mercedes.
Nobody's buying Mercedes, but somebody's buying Mercedes because there's a Mercedes dealership in your
Everywhere.
town. The difference is you're not marketing to the Mercedes customer.
Right. Maybe your whole business doesn't fit a Mercedes customer. Maybe you just, like in the instance of tint, you might have the tint, you might have the Mercedes, but if your dealership looks like shit and you don't have any marketing, no one knows you're there, your customer service sucks, nobody's going to buy a Mercedes, no matter how great it is.
Well, you can go to Golden Corral and you can order steak, you can order chicken. There's an all-you-can-eat buffet of 300 things. When you really get it down to one thing that you're good at, one really good thing, you sell the best filet mignons in Charlotte.
Yeah.
Then all the people who want a good filet mignon are going to come to you.
Right. For sure. And
so market yourself as being one good thing.
Sure. And that reminds me of, what you brought up Tint World earlier, and you mentioned, when when you're doing so many different services, how many people does that require? Well, I'm not a Tint World expert, but I have a feeling that what happens in most Tint Worlds is you get employees that need to be the proficient in everything. So you need to be able to tint a window. You have to do PPF, and then hopefully you can do a stereo, and maybe you know how to put on side skirts, and you can change rims, and and what happens is, like you said, somebody that says I want like high quality rims, or I want somebody who really knows paint protection. You're not going to go to the shop that does everything, because that shop's not known for doing your thing. They're known for everything, and that definitely takes away a lot of confidence versus, like you said, you go to a steakhouse for a steak, and you go to a salad bar for a salad.
I just remember when Chris Hardy was telling me that I couldn't sell XR Plus window tint in Charlotte because my market couldn't support it. When he told me about the Mercedes dealership in every state has the same price in Alabama, South Carolina, and it just resonated with me. And it was like, I'm just not marketing myself to the Mercedes customers. So you didn't do your job to brand yourself to get the right customers to your door.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
So every market that has a high-end car dealership in that market has high-end customers.
Yeah.
You've got to figure out how to market to those customers, and you've got to build your brand to be accepted as a high-end brand.
Right.
You can't be dark side customs. I'm just using an analogy, dark image, whatever, and look like a gothic tattoo bar and try to get the guy that wants to come in and spend $500 for window tint.
And you definitely see that. You see like skulls, and you see like blades, and sometimes that, you have to think to a consumer, like I'm going to be scared of that. I don't know what that is in there. Like, you don't want to go into an intimidating environment. And that's me as a guy. So I know like a woman is going to be even more hesitant. And that's I don't know, maybe 50% of the population,
Well, Eric, I learned something years ago from the Light and the Mic days to Sunstoppers. And one thing I did learn was this, and I don't know if the audience or anybody's chiming in or whatever, but this is one thing that they can really take from this. If your wife, your girlfriend, your mom cannot feel comfortable going and using the bathroom at your facility, you have the wrong facility.
Right.
You have the wrong facility.
For sure. You want them to be impressed.
The first thing that you need to do, if I can just make one suggestion to every single tint customer out there, or company out there, go renovate your bathroom.
Yeah.
Go make it the 5-star Ritz-Carlton. I don't care, whatever. You can buy one of those things that like sprays water back up in your butt. What I'm saying is, you make a nice bathroom, so nice that when customers leave your bathroom and they go out in your lobby, they are not going to question the quality of tint that's going on in your building, because they're going to be like, that is the nicest damn bathroom I have ever seen.
Right. And beyond bathroom, like you got to think about even just like your lawn out front. How's the grass look out front? Because ultimately what it comes down to is there's going to be a lot of things the customer experiences on the way in. And anytime you have the opportunity to wow them, they're going to assume that same wow exists in your service. Like you have a neat driveway, then you must do neat work.
It really comes down to that. I have a lot of little things that I've learned over the years. They're just little things, and they're little touches. And most people are so busy at getting the next customer. They're so busy at hustling for the next sale. It's like a drug. They're just constantly just addicted to trying to get that next person in the door, that they need to stop and reset and relook and evaluate their image, what they look like.
I agree. And I want to read, Billy left a couple comments. He said, let me get the first one. All franchises have failed in our market. Every one of them. Tint World is always empty. The preloading has taken a major part of the market here. Only one shop something worked for is still around. The dealers took too many out. The only reason the one shop is open is the shop is a hitch and bumper shop. I've always thought a franchise would work well, but the history cannot be changed. I really take the idea of reducing overall cost of the shop. Even Formula One stores have failed in Phoenix. I think Phoenix is a huge, like if you were telling me top 10 markets in the country, Phoenix is for sure going to be there. It might be in the top 5, maybe even like number 3 or 4 in the country. How can that be a place that doesn't work for tinting? But I can see how it wouldn't work for Tint Worlds, because Tint Worlds,
they're too big.
Here's
a problem. They're closing as many as they're opening.
which is how you end up with no franchises, because soon, regulation wise, they won't be able to have franchises once so many close.
Well, the other thing is this. You got to get a front counter person that knows how to sell everything. Then, like you said, how many employees are you going to need? You're going to need a 5,000, 6,000 square foot building. It's going to be
Mm-hmm.
expensive.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great concept years ago, the boutiques where you can put two cars inside, you have a nice air conditioned little shop, and you pull two cars in, two cars out, and you keep it efficient. And one or two employees, you get a front counter person,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a helper, a prepper, and a tenor. That's it.
Right.
That's all the people you need to make a successful business. You can
Sure.
do $6,000 to $8,000 a week in window tinting with two people, a front counter person, a tenor, maybe a prepper. Just depends on the experience level of the tenor. But you can duplicate this Sunstoppers process pretty rapidly. But the thing is, I'm not trying to sell a franchise. I'm not trying to go out and find people and train them how to tint windows. I'm trying to take existing window
Right.
tinters, people who tint windows currently, and tell them that they could save a lot of money.
Right.
And if you've owned a tint shop for 10 years and you don't have your second location, call me. That's what I would do, is help coach them on how to get in their second location.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there, whether it be a second location or being able to step away from being the only person at their first location. That's a big transition, and having a mentor and a kind of a team behind you is huge. You
Do you
know?
know Ralph Van Pelt?
Yes. Very well.
Ask him how he got a second location.
Okay. Well, I mean, I just
I,
had
I,
him on here last week, so I'll have him
I
to.
coach. I'm not
Uh
saying I coached him,
huh.
but I would say that I lit a fire and motivated him and inspired him, because he's a great guy. I love him. He's a
He is.
wonderful man. I love him. And that's what I really understand about this industry, is the really good ones, the ones that do it right and that run a good business. We
Hmm.
all respect each other. It's such respect. And it's like a brotherhood, man. When we all come in the same room, I don't care if he's in another state doing the same thing I'm doing. I love him. You give me a hug. Come here, boy. I love you, man. Give me a hug.
Yeah.
And then he'll text me his numbers and tell me how great he's doing. I'll text him how great I'm doing. And it's like, we're trying to get championship rings at the end of the year. We're trying to, how many sell? Oh, you grew your business by 30% this year? Oh man, I did 26%. Man, I'm gonna get you next year. I'm
Right.
coming after you.
That's the
So
way to do it.
we create this rivalry
Right.
of trying to one up each other in
Right.
a good way, in a
Right.
positive way.
You're building each of
That's
your
what I mean.
buildings taller and taller, trying to outbuild each other. You're not trying to bomb each other and tear each other
No,
down.
we're
Because
trying to inspire each other.
sure.
Yeah.
Rick Tallman asked where you got the fire from. He said, "What event or situation transformed your thinking?" Because you said that wasn't, I think, or I don't know. I'll just leave it with that question.
Say the question again.
So he said, where did that fire come from, Mike? What event or situation transformed your thinking? The comment came in a few minutes ago, so it was.
Well, here's the thing. When I got out of college, my dad was a financial guy, very
Mhm.
smart. Called me son, never called me by my name, and every dinner was a board meeting, and everything was suit and tie. Everything was structured. I got out of college, and my dad said to get a job. So I got a job selling cars at Scott Clark Toyota. I was selling cars. The first month I was there as the top sales guy. And the next month I was the top sales guy. The next month I was the top sales guy. The next month I was the top sales guy. And I didn't know a damn thing about selling cars, but I knew
People.
how to be nice to people. I
Sure.
knew how to be excited, okay? Because when that person came on the lot, they were my paycheck. When that person came on the lot, they were leaving with a car. I was going to get them excited. I don't care if they wanted a blue car, a black car, a two-door, or four-door.
Sure.
I was excited that they wanted a car. I was like they won the lottery when they met me.
Sure.
And I was on 100% commission. I made no money unless I sold a car. So I learned that. I opened up my first tent business. I learned a lot from that. And then I came and basically did a lot of other different things. But the real fire came from my father telling me that he did not pay for me to go to college to be a window tinter.
Hmm.
My real fire came as me feeling like I disappointed my father.
Yeah. That's
That's where it came
I
from.
can totally see how that would, I think fathers in general, we try to, You
You want
want
to
your
impress
father's
them. Yeah,
approval
yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
Right. So the thing is, I didn't want my dad to think that I was a drug dealing window tinter.
Hmm.
And so over time, I fueled myself to become a businessman in the window tinting industry.
Sure.
So growing to multiple stores
Hmm.
is a satisfaction of knowing that this legacy, when I'm gone, the brand will still be here.
You're touching a lot of families. You figure every location is owned by some people. They have families, they have
Yep.
kids, they have wives. So like
Yes.
you're spreading that sort of ease. It sounds like it just becomes a lot easier to run your business because
It's easier.
nobody wants to nobody wants to get an email and then go like, oh, I got to deal with my SEO guy. How much do you want? And you have no idea if it works. And and it's a lot. It is a lot.
We have a proven track record. We have data to prove what we do. And I'm not going to spend any more money for somebody than they need to spend.
Right.
I'm not a greedy person. I make money tinting windows, and that's my passion, and I can go all the way back. And people used to always ask me, my tinners, and everybody go, man, how did you open up your second location? How did you open up your third location? And I say, join me and I'll tell you.
Hmm.
But the real thing is that when you open up a store, the first thing you have to do is hire your replacement, train them, and leave. But introduce every customer that walks in the door. Hey, this is Joe. Hey, Bob, I know you've been tinting windows with me for 10 years and you're used to me tinting your car. I get it. But man, I'm getting older. My eyes aren't really as good as they used to be. This guy right here, Joe, man, I've been working with him for about a year. He's great. He's amazing. If you come in here and I'm not here, come see Joe. So the whole 6 months that I'm there, I transition the customer base to know Joe, not me.
Right.
That's the secret. The secret is passing on the
Sure.
customer that walks in the door asking for Joe, not
Right.
asking for Mike.
For sure, because you can't be in two places at once. You have to
Can't.
recognize that. You can't just think that some magic's going to happen and you'll be able
No,
to just do both. You have to put the things
that's
in
right.
place and train, like
Yeah,
exactly what you just said.
right. So these are just things that I've learned along the way. And then my fear was, okay, I open up 5 stores, 3 stores. I can always pull a parachute anytime I want. I can close every store, go down to one, go back, work by myself, and pay all of my bills.
Sure.
So the blanket of security, you have to build the first store so strong that it can run without you to pay your bills while you're building the second store.
Right. Right.
That's the key.
Right.
You got to cash flow your lifestyle for 6 months off
Yeah.
the first store. Once you do that,
Right.
then you do it again in the second, do it again in the third. Then all of a sudden, the income that you have, if you can live your lifestyle off of the first store, all the ones that you grow are
Right.
all extra bonuses and gravy.
Right. And I think, as a business owner, it's important to look at the money that's coming in and go, okay, I work for the company. Let's say you work for the company. So I need a
I take a
paycheck
salary just
and
like everybody else.
right. And whatever is not my paycheck, there's profit, like whatever I don't need, that's a profit. And that's the company's money. Because if
That's right.
everything becomes your money, most people have a hard time detaching themselves from it if they don't already spend it. So like, if you don't spend it, it's going to be harder to take it out of your family savings account when it's really not your money, it's your company's money.
Right.
You got paid for
Right.
your job,
Right. Right.
the company or not.
So realistically, all the years of things that I've learned, I have good accountants, I have good lawyers, I have a good network of tenors. There's a lot of people in this industry that if I don't have the answers to, I know the people who do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're trying to do at Sunstoppers is really bring a group of guys together who love what we do and how we can actually establish ourselves and grow together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not about me.
Right.
I want everybody to understand it's not about Mike Burke. It's about Sunstoppers. I make my paycheck from Sunstoppers. And when I tell everybody that works in this company, when you put the company first, every dream that you have will come true.
That's
You've
it.
got to put the company first.
That's it. Yep.
You have to.
Yep. I agree completely. And, just to reiterate, like the pillars, your degrees in marketing and accounting, and you obviously know how to tint windows, you know the industry very well. And those are three like very magical pieces that can go together because, marketing ultimately, like you have to be in charge of marketing to be able to drive the business. You have to be able to control your, your exposure. At the same time, if you don't have your numbers in order, there is a point where things get sloppy, can burn you just because you're not organized in numbers. So those are like accounting is hugely,
It's
hugely
huge.
important
It's
and
huge. It's
probably the
important.
smallest part of most tin companies' business. It's probably the
They're
smallest thing
not
they ever think about.
they don't understand their waste. They don't understand the cost of what it is to run a business. They don't
Right.
understand the credit card processing. Now here's the other thing. I'm part of Square, and we have a group, a
Account.
rate with Sunstar.
Right.
We're at 2.2%.
Right. You're able to
So we have
save
a
in numbers.
what little bit we have a little bit of a savings. Not 279 or 22. So what it is the little bit of savings that I get you on the film, a little bit of savings I can get you on Square, a little bit of savings. We buy T-shirts. I get them for $5, $4 with the board. I mean, what I'm saying is, instead of you paying $12, $15 for a T-shirt,
Right.
you paying 2.79. We're going to save you by being part of the membership, and the membership is so cheap. It's just basically being repaid back into the company. It's not going to my pocket. Like, I'm not getting rich off this. It's me being able to coach and grow the brand to where we all can benefit, all of us.
So tell me this, in your imagination, when you think about Sunstoppers and its future, where does your kind of imagination end? Best case scenario. Do you think of yourself 10 years from now? Do you think of hundreds of locations? Do you think what's the
I
big
think
like? Go ahead.
3 years, 3 years, I want 100 stores.
Okay.
100 is my magic number in my head right now. Okay. But the thing is, what I want to do is pass down the knowledge and the experience of maybe giving areas. Like, say we build a guy in, say, Alabama, and he opens up a Sunstoppers. He converts. Say he's a tent shop for 10 years. He sees this and says, man, I want to convert to Sunstoppers. When he wants to grow number two, number three, number four, he now benefits into the membership program. He now has that state, or that, say, I want to take this territory and grow Sunstoppers in this area. So I've now fueled his fire to grow other stores. So now I'm passing on the seeds to where other people can now have the rights to go and grow their areas, and maybe they know a tenor in Florida. Like, I opened up a guy, and Franz is a friend of mine in Texas, and he and I've been going back and forth about doing some stuff. I don't know if you know Franz, but a real good friend of mine from tinning, and he had reached out to me about partnering with Sunstoppers before he opened up his new store, because he now understood kind of where I was going with my mindset, where it was like, hey, I know a guy that tints on Dallas. He's in Waco. I might be able to convert him over to Sunstoppers too. So what I'm saying is, everybody in the tinning game knows somebody in the tinning game. And once this thing starts snowballing,
Yeah.
it's going to freaking go crazy. Like, people are going to now go, all of a sudden, what do you mean? I don't have to pay for a website anymore? What do you mean? I got somebody that handles all
Hmm.
my marketing? What do you mean? I'm going to save money on film? Oh my Lord, I get to have a nice showroom, and they dress up the place, and Mike flies in and does a seminar, and I can teach people how to do some things in sales, teach them how to tint. And not that people don't know how to tint, but maybe they're touring cars in an hour and a half, and I want to get them down to an hour. And
Right.
if they're walking back to the plotter too many times, or I'm observing going, oh man, you're not doing the repetition the same way every single time. So you're losing,
Right.
10 minutes a car.
It,
So I'm coming in and teaching them how to be more efficient.
sure. You're passing on best practices.
That's it.
And they only grow over time and over like more shops. It compounds its effect.
Compounds its effect. And you say one of these guys on the forums, they're one guy and they're looking to hire a guy, but that guy's so busy tinting, he doesn't have time to train. Well, there's training schools out there. There's schools, but they're not real world training environment. Okay. You can go to a classroom and you can have somebody that teaches you how to shrink and teach you how to tint one window, but you don't know how to tint a 77 Nova. You don't know how to tint an old pickup truck with vent windows. You don't know all the ins and outs until you've touched every single car from every year, make, and model for the last 20 years. You don't know those cars. Like, I got a guy that came, he's a tinner from me, and he's a plotter tinner. He doesn't know how to hand cut, and he had an old car come in, it wasn't in the plotter.
Right.
He goes, what do I do? The thing is, if you want to learn how to be a good hand cutter and you want to learn how to do some custom stuff, they're going to have to come to guys like me and other tinners in the Sunstoppers organization and say, hey, fly your guy down, have him work 3 days in the store,
Right.
side by
That's huge.
side,
That's huge.
pick a store.
Hmm?
You're now in a brotherhood. You're now in a network. You're now in a fraternity of people that are now going to help everyone prosper.
Got it. So I'm curious, sun stoppers aside, looking at the industry, whether it be the dealers, installers, the manufacturers, just in the industry in total, if you had a magic wand you could wave and change one thing about it, is there anything that stands out to you as an industry that you hope, you would use as your magic wish, or you hope to see change over the next years or so on?
Manufacturally or in the tinting industry?
Either. I mean, whatever comes to mind. If it's through the manufacturers or maybe like a view, a consumer perspective, or something you see amongst tint shops that you hope changes, anything.
In the last 3 years, I have seen lots of changes in this industry. Ceramic tints, Teslas. I'm now tinting. I've tinted, I don't know, a dozen Model X windshields. I never thought in a million years that I could even tint a windshield that big and actually get it to come out good. So just the amount of technology that the materials have in them now, how they're stretching, the 60-inch, films shrinking a Tesla back window. Um, I really have a problem with the manufacturers really going after the car dealerships and setting those programs up because a lot of them are failing. They're temporary. Okay, it's fine here in Charlotte because a lot of them do it here in house. But the thing is, I have guys that buy brand new BMWs and they're like, man, I don't want that crappy ass film on my car.
Sure.
They take it off the next week and I'm putting ceramic tint on their car. And they're overcharging. The dealerships are overcharging the customer. Customers are starting to become more aware that they're not paying $399 for basic tint with hairs, with gaps in their windows.
Hmm.
It's hurting the industry, but it's also helping the industry. If you can understand where I'm going with it,
Hmm.
it's making the people who've had good quality window tint jobs now aware and holding the dealerships more accountable that I'm not paying for this. I don't want gaps in my windows. I don't want creases in my windows, and I don't want the car to look like this. So I don't know if it's going to last long term. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. It's just the car dealerships I see in 5 years becoming more like Tesla, becoming more like Carvana, where they're
Hmm.
going to be ordering cars and having delivery centers. I think the inventory with Ford shutting down plants and GM shutting down, I think that you're going to see half the inventory out in these car lots, and then you're going to see less and less inventory. So what happens when you get the car lot caught up, there's going to be fewer cars for these tenners that are used to banging out tons of cars and making money. They're going to dry up. So a lot of the dealers are going to have tenners that are going to now want to come work for companies like ours who
Right.
have a retail base. So I think we're going to see an influx of window tenners from the dealer side trying to come into the retail side in the next 5 years. That's what I see. I could be
Yeah.
wrong, but that's just kind of what I see.
I like the idea of, like, the response of, the dealer programs for manufacturers to me don't make any sense. I would imagine. I mean, it feels to me like a death wish. Like, I don't even know how you face a dealer and you go, "Yeah, this is what we did, but we're going to sell you film. But look at what we're doing on the side." I don't understand that. But what I do think would make sense is, manufacturers should try to get dealers to be interested in using their brand and using somebody, the closest dealer in their network, to service that dealer, and even helping to establish a better price and more uniform service to service that dealer. But it should be all for the tint shop, not around the tint
Well,
shop. It
you,
doesn't
you
make
gotta
sense.
you gotta look at it from both sides. Okay, the manufacturer wants to sell film, but the problem is they don't have the
But
service.
it's
If
short
they had,
sighted.
they need more trainers. They need people that actually can. If the manufacturers could hire a ton of tenors, just a ton of tenors, and put the dealer program to where they could babysit and almost micromanage these dealers, it could really work okay. But you're going to have to get better experienced people, and you're going to pay them good. And the dealerships are always squeezing the last nickel out of you, and they think they can go get some lot boy or some car wash guy and teach them how to lay patterns
I
on the
know, but
freaking
like
Toyota.
the same way, I just feel like as a manufacturer, like I know what you're saying. I do agree. I envision, a manufacturer being able to step in and say, like a 3M, let's say, where they have huge brand recognition, or Expel, where there's huge brand recognition, Lumar and so on, and go, hey, if you want to sell our film out of here, then you're going to use one of our dealers. This is the price you're going to pay. And then, the dealer, this is to the tint dealer, this is how you're going to service the dealer, and so on. And if they went that route and they, they
Well,
didn't say, hey, we'll just put a plotter in your dealer and train your oil guy how to also do tint. Like you're
Eric,
upping it, you know?
Eric, Eric, let me explain to you on the other side of this. Okay, say you're a tent shop that's been servicing a Nissan dealer and a Honda dealer for years,
Yep.
and you're say, let's just say you're XYZ tent company. You also carry a brand. I'm not talking about any particular brand, but you're an A brand. Say you've been loyal to that brand for many years.
Sure.
Okay, that dealership calls that manufacturer and says, I want to be part of the network. They go in, give them a plotter, set it up. Well, I've been ordering film from this brand for 10 years. Now I have resentment towards that brand.
For sure.
Now I'm calling the brand down the road and saying, hey, buddy, I want to switch. I now want to switch and come and do, and I don't want to get on the forum and start bashing anybody, but you know who the brands are, the ones that are very aggressive at the dealership markets, okay? That local dealer groups that were selling window film, because I hear it, that are now switching over to Expel, or switching over to Flex Film, switching over to other manufacturers
Yeah.
because they just
Quick.
lost accounts
Yep.
to the manufacturer. So now there's resentment towards that manufacturer. They'll
Huge.
never go back.
Huge.
Never go back.
Never.
So when the dealership fails in a year, in
Yep.
2 years or whatever, that dealership now fails. The general manager comes over, changes hands. Now that manufacturer now has no presence in that area at all because they were short-sighted
So short.
on the one they should have supported.
Yep.
They were short-sighted.
Yep. That's
So
why I
now
don't
that
understand how it
area-
goes on.
Yeah, so now that area completely has no manufacturer presence because they came in and took the two dealers that guy had. And now that guy has told everybody in his group and all his friends, don't buy film from that company anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
now they're bashing them.
Yep. But if a salesperson's, and I mean a manufacturer salesperson, is incentivized on growth of sales and there's no good ideas from them and there's no good ideas coming from anybody within them, then this becomes the good idea, even so it's a bad idea, because at the end of the day, it's numbers. This quarter, I get my bonus and we handle next quarter. And that, as a manufacturer, that, you know, like in the it's like window film industry, out of all industries, it's a family. It's a very tight knit. So you can't go burning bridge after bridge after bridge. Like it catches up.
That's
quick.
what's going. Well, the thing is, one thing I will tell you about Expel, and you know, I have a good relationship with them, but I have a good relationship with my rep. I have a really good relationship with the people who run the company, and they have become family to me. I mean, Dean Mitchell is one. He's my boy. I love him. Okay. If I was not with Expel and I met Dean Mitchell, we may be friends. Hey man, what's up? How you doing? I respect you. But the fraternity, the brotherhood, when you're an athlete, like at NFL, college, any athlete, it's the locker room. It's the camaraderie. It's you when you leave that locker room and you're now on your own and you're no longer playing that sport, you miss your teammates.
Sure.
You miss being in that locker room and you miss being with your boys. Okay. I feel like I have a support network and a fraternity of people who have my back with the Expel organization, because a lot of the guys that are in that organization are former tent shop owners. Mm-hmm. They're people that understand what we go through every single day.
Mm-hmm.
If the other manufacturers would just hire people who were tent shop owners
mm-hmm.
and put the loyalty of helping the shops grow and helping see their numbers grow. If you've got a tent shop and you've been buying, you know, X manufacturer for 20 years and they order 52 this year, 53 this year, 47 that year, 48. If they're 10 years, they've been plateaued. What did that manufacturer do to help put fuel and fire and to get their sales up? Yep. I get called every week from my manufactured rep and says, hey, bro, I see you're killing it. I see your guy. Hey, one of your stores down the road in South Carolina is catching you. You come on, man. So it's not that they're trying to get us to buy more film.
Yep.
But they're constantly encouraging us. They're constantly motivating us.
Mm-hmm.
They're constantly in our face going, man.
Right.
And I think some people need a little, you know, push, a little push.
Yeah, and to your point about hiring reps that have been in the industry that know what they're doing, like you would never, ever send somebody who doesn't know about window tint to a commercial bid or a residential bid into somebody's home, and they're clueless and they're asking the customer questions and they're like dazed. You would never do that. But I know for a fact reps, that happens with reps from manufacturers all the time. And like that is a representation of the company. And that the fact that that goes on and like newbies are going into shops just asking questions and looking around is bizarre. And it
Eric,
comes from the
you
biggest
know,
shop, biggest manufacturers.
Eric, I can tell you this: Dean Mitchell, when he walks into a shop, I bet he could put his tool apron on, and I know he has with me, and just immediately start tinting windows. When you have a rep that's trying to sell you film, and he goes, "Let me show you how it shrinks. Let me show you how it goes in.
Mm-hmm.
Let me show you the scratch-resistant coating. I'm going to do the car. Let
Right.
me tint the car with you. Let me show you what my product can do." When I knew that a lot of the guys in that organization actually own tint shops or have owned tent shops
Yeah.
and know how to tent, I was sold. I was
Yeah.
like, this is awesome. Because
Yeah.
now I'm talking to people who now understand what I do. I'm not saying my last reps at my last company, they were great people. I loved them to
Sure.
death. We had great relationships. But if it took it to the next level, if I ever wanted to be a sales rep, the first thing I do would walk in with a roll of film and say, let me tint a car and let me show you what this film looks like. Then you instantly earn the respect
Sure.
of the tint shop owner.
Sure. Or even let me talk to the next customer and let me sell them on our best tint. Let me show you how
Let me sell. Yeah,
that's in your instant good done.
instant.
Look at that.
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
the industry there's definitely a opportunity for leadership, and I feel like you're 100% right. You're stepping up and providing that on a dealer level, and Expel without a doubt is blazing a new trail and upping the bar because that sort of that sort of service, like what happens is they'll just continue to grab market share, and then somebody else has to say, well, I guess we have to do something better than them, or they chase what they're doing.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you, Eric, and and I'm only mentioning this because I've been in the industry a very, very, very long time. Okay, I remember when my father was in the business in Courtaulds. I don't know if you ever heard of the name Courtaulds.
Mm-mm.
That was actually the company before Lumar.
Okay.
Okay, and Lumar and Suntech used to be a rivalry.
Right. It's Suntech spawned off of Lumar.
So what happened is your diehard 20, 25-year vets that were Lumar guys, then your Suntech guys, and then all of a sudden when one big guy comes in and just pulls them all into one big pie, I almost told this guy at SEMA one time, and I'm just speaking freely. I'm not trying to discard it what they're doing because they're a great company. They're the big dog on the block. I mean, Eastman's an amazing company.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is I said, why don't they just call it Lumatech? And just Luma and Tech, Lumatech, and just make one brand.
Uh-huh.
Why is Lumar reps doing things different than Suntech reps? They're manufacturing pretty much the same product.
Mm-hmm.
Just create one unified brand, you know? And I think that would actually help the industry because there's just too many little stuffs going. There's too many brands. If you want to be Nike, you got to be Nike. You can't be Nike can't make 12 different shoes and expect to be Nike. If you want to be the biggest and the best, there's got to be one brand. That's why I really enjoy being with Expel because they're a marketing company
Mm-hmm.
and they're really known for their DAP
Sure.
paint protection systems. That's what they're really known. They were a software company when they
Mm-hmm.
first started, and they manufactured the paint protection side, mastered it. Now they've gotten into the window film side of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just one of those things where I now have a brand that I'm proud to
Yep.
represent next to my brand because it's not, to me, not just saturated and give it to just
Right.
everyone.
Right. And not just
Expel,
that, but they're clearly working very hard and very successfully at that marketing, which is a huge part. Like you can tint windows, but you do want the company you're buying to be doing their part, which is establishing the brand of the
well,
film
they're
that they're
they're
selling.
bringing leads. I mean, the first week we partnered with Expel. They sent me a GT, Ford GT, the actual Ford GT,
Mm-hmm.
because the Ford concierge reached out to Expel
Mm-hmm.
and said, we need to get this car expelled. Who is your dealer in the area that can do
Right.
it? And they
Right.
reached out to me.
Right.
So what I'm saying is that was instant. I had a $10,000 wrap job that came to me because I was expelled. And
Well,
that
and
was just huge.
it's a great question that you brought up with, or suggestion and question about, why Lumar and Suntech are separate companies still, and they have been confined. I hope I get the chance to ask somebody at Lumar that in the future. And I just kind of want to put out there, you said before, you're talking freely and so on. And I feel the same way. I try to talk very freely. And at the end of the day, I feel like this is almost like what you were saying about reviews. We're bringing up questions, not bashing anyone. And those
No.
questions have answers. And that's it. It's like, I think sometimes, you want to hear what people's opinions are. And I feel like that's always the intention, is to somehow
Well,
lead to something better.
I ask these questions at people, and the very first thing is Honda has Acura. Okay, Lexus has Toyota. How many manufacturers of cars are there in the industry?
Okay.
Tons. Okay, there's Hyundai, there's Tesla, there's Honda,
So let me
there's
ask you this:
Kia.
do you think Suntech is a where do you think, like, if let's do the visual, where do you think Suntech is compared to Lumar? Is Suntech beneath Lumar, or are they
I think
equals?
so. Well, I
Sure.
think it's not that beneath. Let's rephrase that. They're more of a discount.
Okay. So
I think
that's
people
what I
pay
mean by
more for.
beneath. I mean price wise.
Yeah.
So let me
I
ask you
think
this.
realistically, the Lumar brings a little bit more to the table because they had more things on the table before Suntech and Lumar merged. There were more programs, like they have the Formula One, they have other types of things and more support, more dealer
Do you,
support with Lumar.
do you think average ticket price for a Lumar dealer is higher than a Suntech dealer?
I don't think so.
You think they're probably similar? You think, like, do you
I
think
think
you
they're
get
very
equal?
similar.
Got it.
I think so. But I think the price of what you pay for the film, you're paying a less price for Suntech than you are Lumar.
Yeah, and what's interesting, I feel this is not. I don't have statistical data to back this up, but I feel from my involvement in consumer Facebook groups that Suntech is brought up more than Lumar. A lot of people know Suntech PPF. You don't hear about Lumar PPF.
Well, you
Same
got
with
to understand.
Tint.
I think if I'm not mistaken, Suntech came out with the PPF before Lumar did. Lumar PPF is actually, I think, Suntech's PPF. I think. I
Sure.
don't
There's
know
no
to
way
be,
that they developed two different films. There's
but
no,
I
like,
really
why would
do
they?
think that
Yeah.
Suntech came out with PPF before Lumar did. That's why I think it was first out.
Right. So I mean, to that
That's probably
point,
why.
you're paying less for a film that may have more brand awareness, even.
What I'm saying is, I think they're so cross-branded now
Right.
that I think they almost should just merge and just make one.
I feel like they have to do something. I feel like
They're losing market share. I know that.
they're losing market share, and I think Ceramic Pros coming
Very
strong from
hard.
behind. It's and Expel, I feel like, is leading the growth race. I feel like for Formula One Lumar has to understand that or the whole Eastman. They have to understand the cycle that they're in as a company, and use their age to their advantage, and not let it be what kind of fucks up a lot of big companies. They get older, have a lot of
Well,
layers of bureaucracy, have
the
shareholders,
thing
the whole
is,
deal.
I think they don't need to copy anyone. They need to reinvent themselves.
Exactly. I know
It's not about
exactly that. They have to go
it's
back
not
to
about
being a
it's not about
leader.
it's not about copying what other people are doing. It's about, let's set ourselves apart and let's do this, and then
Yeah.
people will want to flock to them because they're now different.
Right.
It's like a bar, okay? You take a bar that was a nightclub and a bar, and it's been that way for 5 or 6 years. Then it's not popular anymore. People are like, it's an old bar. I don't want to. But you go, that bar closes, same owner, closes down, puts new chairs, new bar stools, new this, new that, reopens, and
Right.
next thing you know, everybody wants to come to that bar.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah. 100%. That's what happens constantly. It
Yeah,
happens in
absolutely. You're
restaurants,
reinventing your
bars, constantly.
restaurants, bars, constantly reinventing themselves,
Clubs,
right?
clubs.
Yes.
Yeah. Same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Same thing.
And you're 100% right. They don't need to copy anybody. That's for sure. They need to, you can learn from other companies' successes, but at the end of the day, you need to look forward and go, what is the best case scenario? And go figure out best case scenario and all the different, what is the best way we can do this? What is the best way we can service our dealers? What is the best way we can deliver this film? And so on, and make the best way happen. And at the end, you'll find
Do you
yourself
know how
ahead.
you do you
Oh.
know how you make the best?
Hmm.
All right, let me ask you a question. People pay $100,000 for cars all day long. People pay $20,000 for cars all day long.
Hmm.
You've got to find that sweet spot of quality, quality, quality at a decent price, to where just the industry just says, this is now the standard. And when you do that, it's usually going to be there for a long time. And so instead of, I almost look at it like this: why are we have standard film, then standard pro, and then we have this one, and then we have that? You know what? Stop manufacturing 12 films. Manufacture 4 awesome films.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Am I right? Because
yep. Well, and
because on display boards, you've got 2 to 3 display boards. Okay.
mm-hmm.
When you go out to a company and you buy something, you have a good and you have a better.
Mm-hmm.
Usually when you make a decision, you buy a Honda Accord LX or you buy the Honda Accord EX.
Mm-hmm.
There's a luxury version of the same car.
Right.
You buy a GMC Denali or you buy a regular GMC truck. Okay. There's 2 different levels of where to choose from.
Sure.
When you give people six levels, too many.
Too many. Way too many.
Too many levels.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying is, if you really want to invent yourself, stop manufacturing so many different products
mm-hmm.
and just manufacture a few really good ones and give the industry the choice between this, and this.
I agree with it. I also think that, like, even if you just go, all right, like Lumar, if we're talking like flat glass, they have like a million different films, which is great. But I mean, not great, like ideal, but I'm saying cool.
Just too many choices.
But at least this, if you're going to have a million choices, help educate tint dealers as to what the differences are in the films, when they become the right solution. Come up with a way that you can go, this is important to you, this is important, this is important to you, these are your best options, and make that something that a dealer can understand and a consumer can understand. Because right now, like if you talk like security film, you're going to see like PS4, PS7, PS8, PS12, PS11.
Tensile strength.
And you're like, what? You're like, I don't know what to sell. Like, and then I go, where do you get to learn this stuff? Like, you learn it from people like you or people that you're working with, or you start reading or forums. But like, you've got to connect the dots for people, and that's where I feel like manufacturers have significantly fallen short. They just come out with another film and another film, but why the hell do you use VS31 instead of this other 30 something and 40? And like, there's so many options.
That's a dual reflective with back end this.
And then when you start telling me the spectrally select, and then you also have a ceramic, and then you also have a clear this, and I'm going like, okay, I get it, but how do I pick one? Like, which one's the one? I don't know.
And the thing is, when you manufacture all these products, they're not selling 100% of all those products. There's usually it's like buying a double hamburger versus a single hamburger. Let's go get the statistics at Wendy's. How many people order triple hamburger? How many order double hamburger? How many order single? I bet you they sell a lot more singles than they do doubles and triples. So what I'm saying is, find out what your niche is, where your bulk is, and just specialize in making that your better product.
Right.
But I feel like they're always trying to make the products cheaper. They're always trying to, cost cut. They're always trying to, everybody in the world is trying to make things cheaper to make more margin. Okay. I don't think that's always right.
No, you got to make it better to make more margin. Just better.
I don't mind paying more for better quality. I don't. But my biggest problem is when I put on film and I'm having to take it off because of my tools scratching it, and I did a perfect install, and I realized when I did my last squeegee that it freaking but has like a little tiny micro scratch in it. And I'm like,
yeah,
I'm ripping off a piece of tint because of this. Come on.
Yep. And you can't just say the cost of the film. It's the cost of the time. It's the cost of the effect it has on the customer waiting. There's a lot of different costs that are there. And if it happens once every 2 days, that's a lot over the course of a year.
I'm looking for a different film. If my squeegee keeps scratching it, I'm looking for a different film.
Yeah. Yeah. No question about it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But man, I'm gonna wrap this up, man.
Let's
I'm getting tired. And Eric, man, I've never really done this before. This is really cool. I enjoy it. This is awesome. And
Thank you. Thank you for doing it.
Hopefully we've covered a lot of topics for people, and I just want people in the audience, or whoever's watching or whoever watches this later, my phone is always on, and I am a resource available. I'm a coach available. It's not about money. It's about, if you need help, call me. I'll be more than happy, because I get gratification because I used to be a player in the game. I used to tint windows every single day, which I still do. But my gratification comes now as a coach. So when I hear success stories that I had a little bit of a part of helping that person, I'm now winning too. I'm winning. If you look at ex-athletes, they now become coaches because they still want to be in the game and they still want to get the reward, but they get the reward through the new players. Well, I want these younger tenors and these people that have been in the game maybe a couple years to please call me. And then when they see me at a 10 off or they see me at XPEL dealer conference, they see me at SEMA, they come up and say, "Hey bro, man, you inspired me." And,
Hmm.
I hear this and I love it. It warms my heart.
That's what matters. That's what matters now. That's what matters in the end. That's what's important. And I thank you for doing this, and thank you for doing all you're doing for the industry.
I'm
I'm
trying.
super
I'm
excited
trying.
about Sunstoppers. I love it. I mean, I love it. So thank you.
I'm just going to throw out there that we are the Guinness World Record holders for window tinting.
Hmm.
I don't know if a lot of the audience knows that or not, but Sunstoppers does hold a Guinness World Record. Part marketing, unbelievable stress, but it was very fun. And if anybody wants to look it up, go to Expel, type in or go to Sunstoppers and type in Guinness World Record. It's really cool. It was a huge achievement, and it helped our company. And I'm just glad to be able to do that for our industry. Like
Hmm.
no one has ever done anything like that before.
Yeah, huge.
So,
Along with Expel, so huge, really.
Eric, man, thank you so much for your time, man, and I really appreciate you. And reach out to me anytime, man. I appreciate it.
I appreciate that. And thanks for everybody for watching. We'll see you next Tuesday. Have a great night, everyone.
See you, buddy.